Hi, I'm Sara Campbell. Welcome to Legends of Freediving. So, if Jacques Mayol and Enzo Mallorca were the grandfathers of freediving, today I'm here with the daddy, Umberto Pelizzari.
Thanks for daddy.
I hope you don't mind me calling you that. Thank you very much for taking time out to have this chat. And I just really wanted to find out a little bit about you, and I'm sure that everyone out there would be interested in finding out more of the person, the man behind the legend, the man who inspires and has really brought freediving to such a huge market. I mean, what we see today, a lot of it has to do with what you were doing at the beginning of your career, and you really came at a unique time, didn't you?
I think, at the beginning I was competing with Pepin. The idea of freediving was just the world record, the single athlete trying to beat in the other one. So the challenge, the dualism. I think, what I told was correct. Freediving is a discipline, is a sport for everybody. And we just have to understand, just to arrive to understand how to live good sensation doing something which is absolutely unnatural for men. We can stay 1 month without food, 1 week without drinking, but we have to breathe. So people say, how can I feel fine like that? And working with breathing techniques, relaxation techniques, mental training techniques, you can understand how your body can relax totally in the water and feel a good sensation without taking air.
Yeah. So this is really the foundation of what you teach through Apnea Academy, the school that you've created. So how did you start? Because, when I looked at Ocean Men, the film that you have, which is about you and Pippin, which is it's almost like a repeat of The Big Blue. The story, you're Mayol's student and he's Mallorca's student, and you really embody also the characteristics of each of those two great masters. But for me, when I teach it, because I come from the yoga perspective, I talk a lot about the ego and how that this gets in our way. And when I watch that movie, it's two men with two big egos having this big clash. But there's obviously some way that you overcame the ego, or you worked with the ego. I mean, Mayol must have taught you some fairly profound lessons of integrating that into your diving to enable you to do what you did.
I think in any sport, if you want to be the first, you need to have a strong ego. When you have another stronger athlete that is challenging you, is training to beat you, to go deeper than you, or running faster than you, or anything in any sport, I think if you don't have a strong ego, it's not possible to be the first and compete with them. So probably we don't realize, but all sportsmen at very high level have strong ego. So this is absolutely important, I think, when you have to compete, and when, in our case, freediving gets competition. So you have to go deeper than another one. You have to trust yourself. You have to talk to yourself. You have to, the voice inside yourself is charging you, and according to me and myself, I'm strong and pretty stronger and even stronger. You need that. That's ego. But when you go on the water, you have to, and mainly for teaching or teaching to the students, or living the sensation that I like living when I go deep in the blue, without kicking, free falling. There you have the ego have to disappear, and you have to be open to receive all the information coming from the environment around you. And this is important to teach to the students. This is important to have in yourself when you free dive. The ego have to disappear. The sea is bigger than anybody, so we are little, just a drop in the liquid. It's completely blue all around. So it's it's another way of going underwater, and this is probably the reason why I started to free dive. And this is the motivation you have when I started 11 months before the world record, the training program. You don't have to think 11 months before, okay, I have to be there and to beat him, to visualize the rope, the depth. You have to live good sensations. And in this case, according to me, the ego have to disappear.
Yeah. So how do you do that? Because I mean, this is what I teach. and it's what I worked on also in my process to get me beyond 100. But what for you were the key elements in achieving that? I know that Mayol taught you a lot of yoga.
Yeah, I had Mayol as a tutor. So my way of going underwater, the way how I was educated to freediving is more based on relaxation, mental training techniques. Jacques pushed me all the time in this direction. Try to understand how your body can try to use as much as you can all the energies you have in your body, and probably sometimes working just with the muscles we are not able to have. So for me was absolutely important, and then influenced all my way of thinking about freediving, training freediving and teaching freediving as well. Yeah. I remember I never practiced yoga, but he spent months and months in monasteries to get better as a yogi. And then when we met at the beginning of the season, around April, May, it was like a filter for me between yoga and what from yoga was absolutely important for the freediver. So I had job done, and I was working on these specific things.
So what elements was it that he gave you that you found particularly useful for you in terms of what he'd
Mayol has always been for me a tutor and the master. And I remember when I met him the first time in Paris in '90, I did my record already 2 months before. And when I met him in Paris, it was surrounded by thousands of people at both show and dive show. So anyway, I met him, and he told me, I heard about you. I called Elba Island, because part of my team was his safety team. So when we talked together, and he promised next time when I come to Elba, I will call you and we'll freedive together. And I remember he called me, and I went straight to Elba. The day was the 13th of April, 91. I remember that day.
Forever.
And we started to freedive together.
Yeah.
So then I tried to go, pretty deep. And after that session, I asked him, hey, Jacques, what do you think about, my way of going in the water? What do you think about me as a freediver? And he told me, you understand nothing about freediving, because he told me, anytime you dive is just for conquering something, to gain something in terms of meters or seconds. But you don't know what you are doing while going underwater. You don't know how deep can be the sensation of practicing freediving, not only with your muscles, with your legs, with your arm, the position, but just with your mind. So he told me, if you want to stay, we will train together, but I don't want to see you in the water with computers and watch and whatever. So I told him, okay, let's start.
Okay.
Day after I was there without computer, with nothing. And I remember he took me to a little bay close to the house. And this bay was 10, 11 meters deep, not deeper. At the beginning, I was, he left me there and I returned 3-4 hours later.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, the first week, the first 10 days, I dove, I remained, down deep. I had no watch, but I was working on my performance. I was trying to gain seconds because I couldn't gain meters. It was just 10 meters deep. So I tried to stay as long as I could. And I remember after 3 weeks, I was pretty tired of this strange training. At that time, there was the film Karate Kid, and there is a shoot where the Karate Kid is, putting the cream on the car and with the other hand leaving the cream. Yeah. And I was thinking, I imagined myself being the freediving kid, because I didn't know why I was doing that. I was able to dive 75, 80, and I was there in this little cage of 10 meters trying to hold my breath. So after 3.5 weeks, I was tired, and I started to go just for down and up for spending the time, waiting for him to come back and call me back. Yeah. So that specific day, for the first time in my life, and I already had a world record, I saw my body kicking down and then kicking back. I was able to understand how I could relax more my body, where I had to go to relax and leave my muscles. And Jacques Mayol was repeating me all the time, your goal have to be not to go deeper, to stay longer, but feeling anytime you dive a stronger sensation compared to what you had before.
Yeah.
that was for the first time in my life something that was getting out from my technique, just observing my body and relaxing my body. And this is, I think, that month was probably, according to me, the most important part of my career as a freediver.
Yeah.
And at the end of that season, my way of going underwater was completely different from the technique I had when I did my first world record 1 year before. Was just working on relaxation. And this is, according to me, the philosophy, the good way for practicing freediving, especially at the beginning when you have to discover your body in an element which is not yours.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's fascinating because, you know, now, you know, everything's moving so quickly in the sport. You know, we've developed the mouthfill, which really enables people to gain depth ridiculously quickly. And, you know, before it was a few meters a year progression, and now it's a few meters a week. And of course, you had the luxury of, you were professional, you were training all year, so it's a very different dynamic for what you experience and what freedivers today are experiencing that, you know, want to attain world records. But I mean, how did you prepare yourself? I mean, over 10, 11 months, you know, it's a long time to keep yourself motivated and focused.
Yeah, you know, I dedicate all this part to my body. It was a sort of research. I spent a lot of time on breathing techniques. I was moving all around the world. I was training winter time in, you know, in the Caribbean, in tropical seas. That was good life. And I was, you know, anytime I was going on the water, I felt that my body was more and more aquatic. And this is a research. You cannot, you know, it's a long research. I think you're talking about the mouthfill. When I did 150, I had no limits with the sled. I had just one training. And there was no packing, no mouthfill.
Yeah.
But I was able to feel my body, to understand where I had air and how to move air from my lungs to my drums.
Right.
So, you know, this is the demonstration that you can do that without, you know, these new, let's say, techniques that are able to mechanically push you down. But then after you have to come back as well.
Yeah.
You know, because you're expert in yoga, just to learn packing takes 1 hour. If you want to learn how to breathe correctly, it takes 2 years. So people have no time.
Yeah.
That time I was really professional. I've been absolutely lucky because I had a sponsor. I could, you know, at the beginning of the season I was sure till to the end of the season because I had my sponsor, my safety team, my friends, instructors. You know, was easy to, and I had the time to stay on myself and understand what I had to do. Now we know everything about eustachian trams, soft palate, glottis, and anything. That time I didn't know what was the eustachian trams, but I felt that air was here and moving something, I didn't know what, I was able to push it there. I remember during the medical test I had 10 times 50 in a day. And that time, anytime I was freediving with a sled for medical tests, I was just using this time for myself to understand new techniques of equalization.
Right.
Now, one of these is called sequential frenzel. And I was doing that. I didn't know that it was sequential frenzel.
Yeah.
Now I know what I was doing. But I think the most important thing is arriving to the final goal, you know, working on yourself.
Yeah.
So now I know how to do mouthfill, because I have to teach to the students. They come and it's correct to tell them everything about everything.
Yeah.
But what I think is when you have a student that is diving 20, 25 meters deep and is coming and is practicing packing or just to dive so shallow is using the mouthfill, I think it's much more important at the beginning to work on relaxation and sensation rather than these techniques that can be used when they go deeper.
Yeah.
Angela Bandini was in 88 at less than 3.5 liters of air in her lungs.
Wow.
And she dove 107 meters.
Wow.
And she didn't know the packing. She didn't know, you know, just our limits are not the 23, 25, the 30, 31st of the residual volume, as we normally say now. We arrive there, no more air to equalize. If I did 150 with one training, means that if you relax and you understand how to work on your body, you can do it.
Yeah.
But it's a long training.
Yeah.
And this is what I was doing when I had all this time for me to train and having fun and practicing what I love to do, freediving and holding my breath.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's an essential part, isn't it? Having fun and recognizing that you're doing this because it's something that you love,
Yeah.
rather than getting all caught up in, if I don't get this record, it's a waste of a season, and if I don't get this depth, then I may as well give up. And I see it so often that people really, they lose their entire pleasure. The reason all of us start is that we get in the ocean, and it's just this experience which you can't put into words, that is just beautiful, and the feeling, and then we get caught up in competition and the numbers, and suddenly it's like, oh shit, I've got to go training.
Sarah, what I think is if you only have the number, the competition, the rope, the how deep you can charge, the mouthfill, and how deep can you go after that charge, when your motivation, winning a competition, establish a national world record, disappear, you stop freediving, because you have nothing remains to you after of this discipline. Because if it's just competition and meters, when you stop competing, why to go on holding your breath and fighting against the diaphragm or glottis that wants to get open? This is what I think. If you discover the nice sensation of practicing freediving, you go on. I finished the competition in 2001 when I was 36. Now I'm 50, and what I want to do is freediving. I love spearfishing. I spend 5-6 months in summertime in Sardinia or in Europe, in the Mediterranean, to spearfish and teach and for freediving workshop. So this is what I like to do, because I felt this sensation, and this sensation remains after you stop competing.
And I mean, as well as just remaining attached to your passion for the ocean, you also, I mean, it's very inspiring how you keep training. I know you train twice a day. You go to the ocean. You've also, been learning some of Andrea's techniques, Andrea Zuccari, that he's developing at Freediving World. And I mean, I guess it's that curiosity, isn't it? It keeps you young. It keeps you fresh. It keeps you excited about what you're doing, learning.
Thanks for keeping me young, but not too young.
No.
No, I think, in freediving you have always something to learn.
Yeah.
And if you like freediving, and part of my job is clinics and courses, why not to go on learning something new? Yeah. That's why I practice, I train. When Andrea has something new to tell about equalization, I follow him. I was telling you, for me, equalizing was something, absolutely, it was the instinct, just I move my tongue and equalize.
Yeah.
Andrea Zuccari 3-4 years ago taught me what I was doing while equalizing. That was for me, I discovered so many new things that I try to develop on myself as well. Now I'm what I like is the hands-free, because hands-free I can dive 100, 110 meters. I don't think I will go deeper in my life than this depth, so the hands-free is enough for me. But I want to know all these new techniques, because I want to test on myself how they works. I want to teach these techniques to my students. I have a motivation to go in the water and test something new, and then that's a good reason for training and being at the top of the shade during the summertime when I go spearfishing in Sardinia. This is what I like.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when we went on the sled together, and I found it hilarious. We're there at 20 meters, my alarm goes, and I'm doing my mouthfill, and I look at you, and your eyes are huge, and we get back to the surface, and that made me laugh. And then I nearly lost my mouthfill, and we get to the surface. What the fuck are you doing down there? What is this? And I was like, hang on, this is Umberto. He doesn't know what the mouthfill is, What is this? So I
heard about the mouthfill before, but never been underwater with a free diver practicing mouthfill. And this stronger noise coming from your mouth was pretty strange for me. For me, I was completely relaxed with my tongue moving a little bit, and I was waking up your first time you charge underwater.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was surprising to me, but it was also inspiring, because it's like, well, the mouthfill it's a great technique, it's a great tool, but it's not essential. And I think it encourages people to want to leapfrog over the essential groundwork of relaxation. Is what you said before. It's like, well, I don't need to spend all that time working on that, because if I just get the mouthfill right, I can get to 50 and 60 and 70 without having to go through all of that. But I mean, I see again and again, of course, as soon as you add the mouthfill onto somebody who's already not relaxing, is additional stress, and they just go backwards, and they get even more and more frustrated. So
yeah.
So you had this spectacular competitive career, primarily between you and Pipin, and you have 16 world records, right? Yeah. And then what was it that made you decide to retire and give all of that up?
You know, in Italy we say any great story tale has a beginning and the end. And I was conscious that I was living in that part of my life. My life was not a real life, you know. It was like a dream. I had sponsor, I travel, France, wherever. It was like a dream.
Yeah.
And then so I decided to stop and develop some projects I had in my mind to. And if you're a professional and you train 6-8 hours per day in the water, you cannot, you know, do some other things.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, I wanted to stop my career as a freediver, competition in '99 with all 3 records: constant, variable, and no limits. I remember I did the constant record, then I was ready for the variable, but the sea was pretty rough and we had no time for 2 records, so I established 150 meters, no limits, using this huge boat, big boat of the Italian Navy with the hyperbaric chambers on board, with the deep sea divers of the Navy and whatever. In 2000 I was busy for the production of Ocean Man, and in 2001 I decided that one had to be my last record, the variable that I didn't try in '99. So I finished with this. I tried. That was my 6th record, deep, and I decided to finish. At the beginning, it was pretty difficult, hard to keep the promise I did to myself, because, you know, anytime you establish a record, you understand that that's not your limit. You can do something more. And then second, when the first time they beat you, they go deeper than you want to go back to water and train and demonstrate you can do something more. But, you know, could be the never-ending story. You know, I decided to stop, and I stopped. And that was not an happy moment of my life, because, you know, I think not only for freedivers, for any sport, when you are a professional, you wake up in the morning with this little man on your shoulder, which is the stress of your sport. He's waking up with you, he's going to sleep with you, and during the day, even if you have the competition, important competition in 7 months, 6 months, 5 months, 10 months, you think to that. You know this, you're training, you're running, you're freediving, because you have that goal. So it's part of your daily life. And the first time you wake up and have this man on your shoulder, you say, okay, and now what do I have to do? You know, looks like if your life has no meaning anymore. So I think this is the reason why, for example, Michael Schumacher went back to the competition, even if he had nothing to demonstrate anymore, or Michael Jordan, or many sportsmen that was at top level in their sports, and after a break they decide to return and compete again. It's not because they have to demonstrate something, it's because they have nothing to do. Their life has no meaning. Okay, so that was pretty, not like this for me, but it was pretty hard to stay far from the competition. I had friends calling me, hey, let's go, let's try, why do you stop, you can go deeper, you know. But I think I was able to resist because I started to develop my school, Apnea Academy. I was working for TV, for different TV documentaries all around the world. So, you know, I had something different to do, and I was all the time underwater. So that's why I was able to follow this decision, and now I'm happy of it. So I tried 16 times. I established 16 different records, and I think doing one more, nothing changes. But if you try and you fail and you have a blackout, you destroy whatever you did in 12 seasons, I think.
Yeah. So it's 20 years ago that you established Apnea Academy.
Yeah.
Did you, when you started, you call it a little project, I mean, did you have any idea how big it was going to be?
I didn't think that Apnea Academy could get so big at the beginning. Is much bigger than what I thought.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I saw that in Italy, especially in Italy, there was not education to the freediving. The instructor would say to the students, okay, relax, but they didn't tell them how to relax. Okay, don't do hyperventilation. Okay, but teach them how to breathe.
Yeah.
Okay, but instructors didn't have this culture about freediving. At the beginning, freediving was, okay, you're not too good underwater for scuba school. Okay, do 1 year freediving and then you come for. So I saw this and I tried to take a task force. I created a group of friends, people that I met before. 2 guys working on freediving and using mental training techniques and relaxation. Doctor that were researching, making tests and researches around freediving. My friend Renzo Mazzari, 3 times world champion spearfishing. So we put all our energies and know-how and experience and training methods together, and we created let's say a first manual. It was not a manual, it was just sort of many advices together. And then we organized the first instructor course in Italian. And from that moment we went on developing the didactics, the idea of freediving, equalization, breathing techniques, mental training techniques, and everything, because freediving is changing every year and we have to be updated to the new things.
Yeah.
So this is Apnea Academy. Now we did the first course, Apnea Academy International Course for Instructors in 2006, and so we have organized 6 courses, international courses for instructors. Everything is going good, and we have all this participation give us energy to be better and work more.
Yeah. How many instructors do you have internationally now, do you know?
Internationally we have about 160, 180 international instructors worldwide.
Right.
And in Italy we are about 450.
Wow.
We have strong selection. For the last course we had 192 candidates that passed the selection, and we took only 70 of these 192. So we don't do a course every 6 months, we don't try to keep everybody. We just have 1 course every 2 years. The selection is pretty strong. They have to be checked, they have to experience to have this let's say training with an Apnea Academy instructor for 6 months, just to understand how to teach, how to work with the students in the sea, in the pool. And then of these 192 we took only 70.
Yeah. And did they all pass?
Normally we have 20-25% of candidates that don't get instructors.
Okay.
But they have time after 6 months to repeat the test that where they were not completely okay, just public speaking or physiology or dynamic or deep dive, or in case that week they were not able to equalize, they have to return and show us how to go deep. So they don't have to, some of them don't have to repeat completely the instructor course, but after 6 months we give them the time to get better in these 6 months, and then they can be tested again on any specific part where they missed.
Yeah. And what about competition? Is there any element of competition within the Apnea Academy family?
No. In Apnea Academy, Apnea Academy is not a federation. We don't recognize record. We just organize competition for, let's say, it's the reason for meeting all together and having fun. So the competition are not official, but students can attend this competition and can come and understand how they work during the season, what they learn from the courses. Judges are the instructors. So
Okay.
and after that we have dinner all together. We spend 2 days together. This is the main goal when
Yeah.
we organize this sort of competition.
Yeah.
And from next year, the competitions will be Europeans. We have a European circuit. Probably will be in Bruxelles, in Praga, in Italy for sure.
Yeah.
So we are moving out of the border of Italy, and I think it's always with the same spirit, having people in the water, having fun, and testing themselves in one of the discipline that can be tested during the competition.
Yeah. So what do you think of competition now? I mean, there's a lot of controversy over the AIDA rules, surface protocol. You were pretty famous for making sure you were trained, 5-10 meters beyond what you needed to do to set a record. And, now people are, leaving a very narrow margin, and sometimes they have zero margin or minus margin. They're jumping 5, 10, sometimes even 15 meters than their personal best. Or what do you think about this?
I'm not saying that what I was doing is correct, but I was obliged to go deeper than the depth that I wanted to try, because for me it was very important to arrive the day of the record, the official day, when you have that time we had hundreds of boats around the dive spot. We have thousands of people coming to the sea to check your performance. So the situation was pretty different from when you're alone with your boat, with your team in the middle of the sea, just for yourself and training. So the day when you have this official test and you close your eyes, you make the void around you, and you repeat yourself, okay, I did already 10 times, okay, why not today? This is an important psychological help. So I was used to go deeper and few times than the depth I was supposed to try the official day, because this is my way of working that day, and probably this is the reason why I never failed a record. I did 16 attempts and 16 records. But this is what I do. I'm not telling this is correct or not.
Yeah.
For sure, I think what is happening now in the competition, and I'm really far from the world of competition. I don't know the rules, the protocols, but in any case, I think it's important we demonstrate that freediving is not only getting out, trembling from 15 seconds, and then if you're able to say I'm okay, then you got the record. Okay, it's important to show to the world, which is not the world of freediving, because we have to take new forces in, to demonstrate that you can establish a record and not getting close to death. Okay, if a mother is looking at the TV, freediving competition with a kid, probably is praying God that his kid one day will go free climbing or riding or swimming, but not freediving, because she doesn't want that for his kid, for a kid. Do you understand what I mean? So I don't know how to solve this problem, but probably reducing the time you have between when you get out and when you have to say the words. I don't know, but it's pretty bad to show this way, these protocols to the people that are not in our world. You understand? And this is my personal opinion. I don't know how to solve it. Probably reducing from 15, I think, to 3-5, so the athlete knows that in case it's pushing too much, you will never have a blackout. Or you have a blackout for 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, you cannot compete anymore. So if you have an important competition and you're training for that, you don't push your body to your limit. It's important that's for the image of freediving. This is absolutely important for us, for our sport.
I mean, I know there's a lot of argument backwards and forwards in AIDA at the moment. If somebody has a squeeze or somebody has a blackout, as you say, in their training, that they have a responsibility to themselves, to the safety team. Obviously, they're relying on the safety team. They're putting extra pressure on them if they are taking big risks. But then on the other hand, people are worried that there becomes this environment of secrecy, and then people hiding the fact that they've had a squeeze and not going to see the doctor, and then this creates an exacerbation of what is already maybe a small problem in the lungs, that they continue diving because they don't want to step away. So it's, as you say, it's not resolved. We don't have the answers.
Yeah, but Sara, the problem is not you have a squeeze, you hide it, you don't go to the doctor, and then you compete again the day after. The reason is, the important is understanding why now we have so many lung squeeze and we didn't have before. Why you have so many blackouts You know, this is important.
Yeah.
Because probably we are working in a way which is not correct for the health of the students and whatever.
Yeah.
I was working for Milan was candidate for the Olympics in 2004, and I was working in the team. And one sport to get Olympic, freediving will never get Olympic, but just to let you understand, one of the voice is the safety of the athletes, the health of the athletes. You know, this is not health.
No.
Because,
No,
we
absolutely.
we have to understand why now we have so many accidents with lung squeeze. And we have Apnea Academy Research is working with Dan Research. Apnea Academy Research is a group of doctors, anesthetist, ORL doctor, and working together to understand something more about, you know, our problems, what is happening in our body so deep and whatever. And they saw that we had a questionnaire. We received back more than 2,000 forms completely failed concerning the lung squeeze, bigger or small. And we saw that 75% of people that had lung squeeze was because of physical effort underwater. Okay, and the physical effort was mainly for effort because of equalization problem.
Okay.
So, you know, when you go after packing stiff because you don't know the relaxation, any single effort can cause a strong hemorrhage. So this is important to understand. For sure, people. I was telling you, I had 1 year for training, relaxing, enjoying, having fun, and, you know, with my friends. Now people have short time; they're not professional. They come and have to demonstrate everything fast. So I understand them, but this is another reason why probably when you stop, when you finish competing, when you have no more the motivation of winning a competition, probably you change the sport, because this is not having nice sensation. When you get out and you have blood in your mouth, what's the nice sensation on that? And I remember after 150 with just one training on the big boat of the army, we had a, let's say, sort of hospital, and they wanted to test me while waiting for the safety team to get out. They had more than 3.5 hours, 4 hours decompression time. So they had time for testing me and checking me. And they saw that I had no blood in the salad, not at all. So if you relax, you can go deep without packing, without these things, and be in a good physiological condition for your body as well. But it's a long research, it's a long training, and now probably you have not so much time. We go fast, but this is, you know, to the in another. From another point of view, probably a limit in terms of communication, in terms of career for a freediver, and this is bad for freediver and for the world of freediving at the same time.
I mean, maybe it's a fairly extreme step, but, you know, maybe if there's blood in the saliva, it's a red card, you know, and that's the only way to prevent people from pushing their limits like that.
But they don't show you their saliva. That's why.
Yeah, but, you know, enforced testing. I don't know. I mean, this is the thing.
Yeah, I know. I told you I don't want to be the old wise man. I know this problem have to be don't have a easy solution. But I think if we want to have success in our world, in the world of freediving, we have to change something.
Absolutely.
And you know, when you see a World Cup or World Championship and you see 20 athletes around the platform, if I want to put money in this sport, I prefer going in another sport, because I see there's no media around, there's no you know, it's just for a few. We have to change all these things to get more and more popular our sport. This is what I personally think.
Cool. So for you personally, I mean, I know I've looked on your website, you've got courses all over the place, you're ridiculously busy, you've got, I don't know how many books that you've written. What's next for Umberto? I
still don't know. I don't decide before. When I understand that I have something new to say, to write, I decide to write a new book. I just finished a book with 2 other writers on the physical training for freediving, and will be translated in 1 or 2 months in English.
Great.
And then last one, the specific training for freediving will be ready in English at the end of the year. Now William Trubridge is just finished the translation.
Perfect.
And he told me that he really loved this book, so I'm happy with it. And so I have these new books that went get out last year in Italian version. Now the English is pretty ready, and let's wait for that, and then we'll see.
Great. And I noticed on your website that you're supporting a charity in Italy that looks after kids with SMA, so some form of muscular atrophy disease.
I dedicate some part of my time to these kids with this kind of problem.
Yeah.
Because 5-6 years ago I had I was called from one of the teachers that is in charge of these kids, and she's working in the water. You know, the therapy, water therapy for her was very important, and also underwater freediving therapy. But she didn't know. She told me, I'm not able to understand when it's time to get them out, or if I can stay longer, because for them was important. So I met her, and we talked together. She wrote for half a day, advices, you know, working on them underwater and everything. And then I remember we went to the pool with some of these kids, and I remember that day I was with this guy. He was now he's 4 years older. He was 10, 11 years old, Alessandro. And I remember I told him, okay, now we do our best, our BP static, and 20 seconds before the top he started to pack. And I had the goosebump.
He didn't know what packing was.
He didn't know anything.
Right.
He didn't see was the first time he was in front of a freediving teacher. So that was just the instinct, the nature that made him understand that to have more hair, since he was not able to use the muscles involved in any breathing technique, he was obliged to move the mouth as a pump to push more air and more pressure in his little lungs. So it was really incredible. That's the nature, you know, the instinct that if you want to stay longer, you have to do that without any master, without any teacher, without any instructor. And this lady, the instructor, was asking me, you see what he's doing? I don't know why. And I explained her why after. And I remember that day was my first experience, and for me it was really important, you know, not only professional but also as a human being. And I have 3 kids, so sometimes you understand how lucky you are when you see these things. And I decided to work with them. Now it's a big group coming from all Italy, and we organize, let's say, clinics for these persons in charge of these kids, working with these kids out of water, in the water, to let them understand how they can use better the diaphragm. You know, it's a sort of gymnastic for diaphragmatic gymnastic and for all muscles, including the breathing techniques. For them it's very, very important to live better and breathe better.
I mean, I think it's beautiful that, you know, we've both been given so much by the sport, you know, and by the ocean, that, you know, now, you know, after a competitive career, to find a way to actually give back and find deeper meaning in what it was that we experienced. I know for myself, you know, it's made my yoga teaching much richer, much more profound, and I have so much more to share with people in terms of the insight and just understanding who we really are as human beings and our purpose here, and, you know, letting go of all of this stress and being important and busy and just, you know, melting into the ocean and having these beautiful experiences.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you very, very much for joining me today.
Thank you, Sara.
Thank you. And so thank you everybody out there for joining us today in this conversation, and we'll be back soon with more freediving legends. Take care and be safe. Sat Nam.